Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that enough. Yeah, I do not want to. No, I don't want to hear the T word anymore. No, the T word is worse than the F word as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, okay, I'm out. Yeah. Oh, hey, welcome to Season 6, Episode 5 of Niagara 411 Live with Lee Sterry. We are fueled by Gale's Gas Bars. We are also supported by Sandra's Home Healthcare, Verge Insurance, Ace Alignment, Mac Outpost, powered by Canada's premier streaming service, WeeStreem, and we are, my favorite word, ensconced in this lovely Fiddler's Poorhouse for yet another edition of the show at 149 St. Paul Street. Those are your specialities today. If you want to pop down and have yourself a bit of a sip or a bit of a bite to eat, join us down here at Fiddler's. We'd love to see you. Coming up on the program today, there's a gentleman from Niagara that went through a very unpleasant experience in a very important place. We're talking an LA Kings hockey game, and he got tossed out. It's a crazy story, and we're going to tell you his story. Jamie Lauzon is going to be joining us. Also, one of Niagara's premier lead singers of local bands is going to be joining us. Has a brand new band. Rob Cave is going to be joining us a little bit after 1 o'clock today. And a bunch of other things that we're going to be talking about as the show goes on. So we hope you can be with us. Welcome to Daylight Saving Time. We're getting ready for St. Patrick's Day. And there's a bit of a sad anniversary connected with this show and St. Patrick's Day. We'll check in on that as well. A lot of things to get to this week. We thank you, as always, for your support. We'll be back in about 30 seconds. Hey, here we are. Bit cooler today. Man, we've had a real touch of spring over the last couple of days here in Niagara, right? And this is probably the coolest day of the week. I don't mean cool as in hip. I mean cool as in not hot. I'm going to turn my little phone notification off there so we don't hear that dinging all through the show. Anyway, as I mentioned, welcome, Season 6, Episode 5 of Niagara 411 Live with Lee Sterry. Happy to have you here for yet another edition of Niagarans Talking to Niagarans, for Niagarans, by Niagarans. Can I say Niagarans too many times in one sentence? I don't know. Anyway, one thing that we'd like you to do right off the top, if you would, is as you're watching this on the Niagara 411 feed on Facebook, if you would refresh your feed. I'm going to do this along with you. Refresh your feed, and then you will see that we are actually streaming. Right? Okay. So then you go down to this little button at the bottom of the square that you're used to seeing, the share button. And then it'll say, do you want to make a comment or share now or whatever? Well, just hit that. It's simple. Just do the hit share now thing, and boomity boom. Whoever Bob is, he's your uncle, right there. All right. So there we are with that, and we appreciate you for doing that, because some of the broadcasts, I shouldn't call them broadcasts, netcasts, social media streams. That's the best word for it. That we've been doing have really connected with Niagara, and for that we thank you, because some of the views have been off the charts in numbers. And what that means is that we are actually connecting with you, and you are connecting with your fellow Niagarans, and that's what this whole thing is all about. You might see some sort of great big funny bird, mechanical bird flying around Niagara. We just found out that there is one of the RCMP Black Hawk, they call them H-60, helicopters flying around Niagara. And if you see that, if you're looking at that line right there, the squiggly bits in yellow, That is directly over Niagara Falls. That is right at Niagara Falls, the falls itself, where one part of the river empties into the other part of the river. And it either looks like they're really having a good look around that spot, or it's out of control. Like, it's just back and forth and around. And does anybody know where we're going? I have a feeling they're just looking around. But anyway, so if you see one of those big black birds around, that's what's happening. They're just on a mission. That gentleman that you saw just a moment ago is Kevin Jack, our executive producer, co-founder of WeeStreem, along with his partner Brandon Scram, Canada's premier streaming service, and founder of this ye old programming. So Kevin, as per usual, it's nice to hook up with you. We don't see each other for 2 weeks at a time, and then it's like old home week when we get together. There's all sorts of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. And once again, Lee, hold on, just trying to pull it up here. We didn't talk about this before the show, but want to send a big thanks out to everybody involved with the Feulled Mounts, that organization. It's an institution in Feulled for putting on the Feulled Mounts ice hockey tournament over the weekend.
All right. Were you streaming that?
No, we were not streaming. I was participating.
You were playing?
Yeah, I was.
All right. So tell me how'd you do?
We won.
Do you ever not win? Do you play in hockey tournaments that you don't win?
Anyway, we won this one. And a big thanks to Eddie for participating. You see some of my pals there. There's Brian Parks, Between the Pipes, one of the best goalies Niagara has to offer. A good friend, Mike Chmielewski. There's Wes Keller. All kinds of Cody Keating in there. All kinds of great guys with deep ties to the local community, and I don't think any of them run deeper than the Feulled Mounts itself.
Yeah, so what was this tournament all about? What was the deal?
It's the Feulled Mounts tournament. They put it on every year. There are probably 6 different divisions or something like
Mounts?
that. It's just one of these sports orgs.
Okay.
A bunch of men get together, and they've been going for like 30 or 40 years. They use the tournament as a fundraiser to fund other tournaments that they go into. But they golf in the summer,
so
they play
that
hockey.
That explains it. That's what I was looking for. What's the background of this thing? All right.
So there you go. So thanks very much, Eddie, for organizing
for
this. It was a good time down there at Feulled, and thanks to everybody that I bumped into and saw in the lobby or in the hallways or what have you. It's just a good time.
Good for you. Something that has had sort of a life of its own over the last little while is the Niagara Falls Rib Fest event. Now, normally we wouldn't be talking about a Rib Fest. Now, there's something that the Rotary Club is involved, et cetera, et cetera. But it was announced that it was not going to happen this year after like 20 years or whatever, and it was mainly because of a lack of funding from the city and all the rest of it. And this story goes to support my position, my opinion on a number of things, and maybe that of others, but this is mine, is the fact that if something is worthwhile doing, if something is a good idea, somebody other than the taxpayer will fund it and make it happen. And that's exactly what happened in this case. Niagara said, we're not going to use taxpayer dollars to fund this thing. We can't do it anymore. The economy being what it is, and blah, 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 yeah. And soon enough, 3 separate entities stepped up and said, hey, we'll do it. And that's exactly what is happening. So there is actually going to be a rib festival. It's going to be Niagara Rib Stock.
Or is it, Lee?
Or is it,
Because,
Lee?
see, the thing is that, 3 entities stepped forward, one being Chris Dabrowski of Comic-Con, and he realized that 2 other people were also thinking, so he pulled out. He made a post yesterday saying, hey, look, guys, but Rib Stock and then another incarnation also calling itself Rib Fest are planning on replacing this on the same weekend, Father's Day weekend in Niagara Falls. So
in June.
Who emerges the winner? I don't know. It's Rib Wars.
Yeah. I mean, kudos to Chris for stepping up, because he's been an event organizer for ever in the Niagara area, and I guess he probably felt it was almost his civic duty to say, hey, somebody's got to organize this thing. And then when other private entities stepped up, he said, okay, well, I'll back off and let you guys do it. So I was a good on Chris for doing that and saying, that's all right. you guys go for it, because then he doesn't have to do it. But he was willing to do it at his own on his own nickel for a little while, anyway. Anyway, the point here being is that coming soon is a Rib Fest of some sort. Rib Fest will be happening in Niagara, June 13 to 16, Niagara Falls Rib Fest.
Or is it Niagara Falls Rib Stock?
Or is it Niagara Falls Rib Stock?
Who's going to win? It's the Rib Fest Wars.
Yeah.
Here in Niagara.
The Bone Wars. Okay.
How about we start up Ribpalooza?
Ribpalooza. There you go.
Ribpalooza, Father's Day weekend, Niagara Falls.
But the point being, if something is worth doing, somebody is going to make $1 at it. Somebody is going to privately invest in it. It doesn't always have to be public money. And I'm not going to go too deep into this wormhole, but or rabbit hole, or whatever it is you call it. But it was always my opinion with the CBC as well, a publicly funded media entity that competes with all these people that are trying to be private money-making media people across the country all these years. If the CBC is worthwhile doing, somebody would do it and finance it as a profit-making business. That still remains to be seen, but that's another hole, as I said, rabbit hole we won't go too far into today. But that's great news. The Rib Fest thing is awesome. We have one of the people that's on the program today is a fellow by the name of Rob Cave. Now, you might know Rob, but might not know his name, actually. He's has been the lead singer of a local band. I would call them a cover band for many years in the Niagara area. They often perform a Canada Day in the Feulled area, etc., but they're a very, very well-known cover and bar band, for the lack of a better word, really entertaining, called Vinyl Flux. And Rob has been the lead singer for that band for a long, long time. Well, it's disbanding, or at least he's leaving the band, and he has a brand new band. And we're going to be talking to Rob about 10 after 1 or so today. Audio Saints is the name of Rob's new band. So I wanted to talk to him about why the change, why the new band, why the whatever, and they're going to be performing. They got a big show coming up on St. Patrick's Day, as a matter of fact, on March 17th at Cat's Caboose on Glenridge Avenue in St. Catharines. You know the place. One of the popular venues for Rob's bands over the years. And so they'll be performing on March the 17th. We're going to be talking to him about the new band and all things connected with that a little bit after 1 o'clock today. Which brings me, Kevin, this is a bit of a somber note, but since we're talking about St. Patrick's Day, I wanted to acknowledge, just so that people realize that we have not forgotten this young man, the disappearance of Niagaran Nicholas Adamson. Will be 3 years this St. Patrick's Day. The night of March 16th, heading into the wee small hours of the morning, which was March 17th, St. Patrick's Day 2022, at the Moose and Goose, Nicholas went out to make a cell phone call. Was not allowed back in because he was inebriated. The doorman, bouncer, whatever you want to call him, didn't let Nick back in. He disappeared. Has not been heard from or seen or found since. And we've done a few shows with Nick's family, his brother, his mom, and it's still a topic of conversation anytime someone goes missing. And we have had a number of people, unfortunately, in the Niagara region go missing over the last few years since we've been doing this show. And the Nicholas Adamson case seems to be almost the most mysterious of all that we've had to deal with, and it's sad, and it's still a mystery, and he's still missing. And this night of March 16th into March 17th, St. Patrick's Day 2025, will mark 3 years since not a trace has been seen or heard from Nicholas Adamson. And our hearts go out to the family still to this day, and we want to make sure that we don't forget it. We don't forget him, and he remains on that unsolved list that we have here in Niagara. On that note, to tie this together, we did this show a couple of weeks ago, a couple of weeks before that as well, when Derek Gibbs went missing. Alongside the Welland Canal, his red backpack was found. Well, he was found over the past week or so since we last did this show, and unfortunately he was found in the Welland Canal, deceased. And our hearts go out to the family and friends of Derek Gibbs. That at least is a resolution to this mystery. 11:40 a.m. on March 5th, uniformed members of the Niagara Regional Police Service assigned to 3 district in Welland Pelham responded to an unidentified human remains call for service located in the Welland Canal. And those remains were eventually identified as Derek Gibbs. The mystery solved, not in a positive way, but resolved at least. Again, thoughts and condolences to friends and family of Mr. Gibbs. Well-liked man here in Niagara by a lot of people. Another really wacky story. This is something that you would not expect from a professional sports franchise, especially one as popular and as professional and as much in the public eye as an NHL team like the LA Kings. Jamie Lauzon is a local Niagara man. He is the founder of Alternative Mobility. And ironically, as this story goes, Jamie was at a mobility conference in Los Angeles at a facility right next door to where the LA Kings play their game. Well, that's Jamie on the screen. Let's play this video because he's coming up in just about right now. We have him on the line. So let's Jamie tell you this little story on this video first before we go on. Here we go.
Sitting outside Crypto.com arena after being kicked out of the game with my family still in the game for not agreeing to leave the arena after I was sold a ticket saying I could find an accessible seat and guest services would accommodate me. However, although there were dozens of seats available in accessible sections, they couldn't relocate me to those seats because the seats had been sold even though no one was sitting in them. I don't even know what to say at this point other than this just doesn't feel right and feels like a true violation of my human rights. They have a code of conduct to treat people fairly and respectfully, but that's really not the treatment that I received today. So I'm not sure what else to say other than I'm in shock that this is happening and it's not right. I hope this goes viral and I hope people can understand that things like this need to change and policies that don't make sense, people need to use some common sense and find a solution. There was many solutions that could have been accommodated tonight, but that didn't happen. And here I am, banned from the arena, banned from the property, not even able to be outside within the confines of the arena.
Gee.
Actually got some, I'm gonna send you.
Jamie Lauzon joins us now. Hi, Jamie. Thanks for being here on the program. How you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
There is nothing about this story that makes any sense to anybody that knows anything about it. It's just incredulous. So, and the ironic part about this whole thing is you were attending the Los Angeles Abilities Conference right next door, pretty much, to where the Kings play their games. And so walk us through, if you would. I'll shut up, and you walk us through your experience when you were down there. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, I mean, we're having a great time in LA. Like I said, I attended the conference for 2 days, and we were right next door, saw that the Kings were playing, being the Canadians that we are. I'm with my wife, Melissa, and my son, Jacob, and his friend, Jagger. We thought it'd be a great opportunity to see if we could get tickets for the game. So we had a great time out front. They had a bunch of exhibitions going on for the LA Kings. We went to the Will Hall, bought 4 tickets. They did tell me that they were unable to assign me to an accessible seat from their location. However, I could go in to any of the guest services and they would accommodate me, which is normal. That happens all the time in Toronto, other places. So I didn't really think much of it. We went in. I did exactly as they asked. Went to guest services. They were kind of laissez-faire about it and told me that they didn't have any tickets either, but that there was a standing room only section at the one end of the arena. So we proceeded over to that section. It was a nice lounge area with a bar, some high top tables, and but they gave us a seat that was 10 feet back from where you could actually see the game, and they kind of indicated that once the game started and they figured out who was there, who wasn't there, that we'd be able to move. But that didn't happen. And the security guard, or the usher, I guess, proceeded to stand right in front of my wife and I where we could see even 20% of the game. So when I went up to him and asked him to politely move to the side, he refused and said he was doing his job and he couldn't move. So that's when I got a little aggravated, and I proceeded to just sit right beside him where I could actually see the game. However, my wife was still sitting further back, not being able to see anything. And then that's when more security guards came, and I refused to move, to be honest. There was 12 open seats to the right of me and 12 open seats to the left of me. And my wife came up to sit beside me at one of the high top bar rail seats. And then they told her she had to move and that I had to be, go back, or I could go watch the game on the screens in the bar, but that I couldn't sit there, that it was against their policy and it wasn't safe, and that there was no other seats they could move me to, even though I could clearly look around the arena and see tons of accessible seats all throughout the arena. That was pretty incredible.
So what finally led to you being evicted from the building and the property?
Well, once the LAPD showed up, they were
the cops
trying
showed up?
Yeah, several cops. Yeah. Yeah. So they were talking to me, and they were pretty understandable. They were pretty amazed that this was happening as well. They tried to go between myself and the security staff at the arena, and the only accommodation they could come up with was to go to the bar and watch it on TV, or one of the people that was accompanying somebody else in a wheelchair that was sitting in a spot about 20 feet to our right, she offered to give me her seat. But at that point, I didn't think that was the right solution. I mean, she wants to sit with her family just
right,
like I do. I already had to send my 2 kids to the other seats, so they were sitting in a whole other section of the arena.
Wow.
So I just wanted to sit with my wife. And then I told the police quite politely that I didn't think this was right and I wasn't going to move. I was going to stay there. And then if they wanted me to move, they could remove me from the arena. So I went back and forth, and finally they said, they didn't want to do that, but if that was the case, then I would be trespassing under their private rules, and then I would go to jail. So at that point, finally, I decided I would leave. My wife didn't want me to spend the night in jail, being on vacation. So I did leave, and you can see the other videos where they escorted me not only out of the building, right to the street.
Yeah, we've been showing
so
them.
Yeah, it was, not even the second period, or maybe just the start of the second period. So I wanted my family to stay in and watch the game from the regular seats, but
Wow.
I was out on the curb, so to speak.
Jamie, the almost unfathomable perspective of this is that in these days of inclusivity and consideration for all people in all walks of life, in all situations, in a so-called progressive state like California has been for so many years, plus one of the most recognizable brands of the LA Kings in one of the biggest sports, NHL, on the planet, that there would be something so archaic as an organization that would have people in that situation that just didn't get it. I mean, that's the unfathomable part of this.
Yeah, for sure. So that what I find, and I've been in the chair for 32 years, is accessibility has come a long way.
Yeah.
Everybody has an accessibility policy nowadays, but the policies don't always translate to common sense and actual processes that make sense. So in this case, clearly this guy didn't receive the message or the training, and that every disability is unique and all situations are unique.
Right.
They could have easily accommodated me in multiple ways, but they refused to do so.
And that's the one of the things that Kevin and I, along with other guests on this program and other situations we've talked about in the past, is everybody needs policies and procedures in a business. There's no question. You need a rule book, basically, to follow. Yeah. But there are two ways to follow that rule book. There is the letter of the law, and then there is the spirit of the law. The letter of the law says, here's the deal. But the spirit of the law is supposed to be applied by people that are paid to think and interpret situations and react accordingly. And obviously, that organization does not pay people to think. They just pay people to find ways to follow the rules, and that's it. Nobody's empowered to make a decision. And for an organization like the LA Kings, it just doesn't make any sense.
No.
Have you heard anything from the hockey club?
Not a word, not from the club or from Crypto.com Arena. They did tell me when they were escorting me out that someone from the LA Kings would be in contact, but haven't heard anything yet, despite all the social media and posts. So
now the crypto place, it's called Crypto.com or whatever. It's their name. They pay for the name of the arena where they play. So it would have been their staff. Is it their people that actually staff the place, or are they LA Kings staffers that do this?
I believe they're Crypto.com employees, for the arena.
All right, so this is arena personnel, not hockey club personnel.
To my knowledge, I'm not sure how that fully interacts, but they did say someone from the Kings would reach out. Yeah, but
Jamie, I haven't been to maybe as many arenas as you have or other people, but those I have been, be they hockey, be they Major League Baseball places, or even second or third tier leagues, there is almost never a time where I've seen accessibility required where it wasn't able to be provided. I've never seen anybody that was left outside looking in my experience.
Well, certainly this isn't a unique situation, unfortunately. It's unique in the fact that they actually kicked me out of the building.
Yeah.
However, as a person that loves sports, loves concerts, I experience this all the time. So I'll just give you a bit of a recap of what happened. So I have about 40 to 50 seats to choose from in any of these 20,000 seat arenas. That's my guess about how many accessible seats there are.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I have to call in, whether it's Pearl Jam or Toronto Raptors or whatever event I'm trying to go to, I have to call in with the lottery at the same time as everybody else and fight to get one of those 40 seats. And they'll usually only let me have one person with me. So as a father, I can't bring a whole family of 4 with me. I've kind of gotten used to that over the years. But what happens is that people go on and they just click on the accessible seats. All it does is ask you to check off a little waiver that says, yes, I need the seat. I went to Vince Carter's retirement game back in the fall. I'm a huge Raptors fan, Vince Carter fan. And I went there, same thing, I couldn't get an accessible seat, so I got a regular seat and thought, they'll accommodate me. But when I went there, they said the same thing, come back after the game starts, we'll try to accommodate you. I went to the first available accessible section after my kids went to their regular seats. I was the only one there. There was about 10 to 12 seats. As the game went on, it started to fill up. There wasn't one other wheelchair in that section. And I started asking people, how did you get these seats? They all told me that they didn't understand how the codes work, but they just bought them online. But clearly they did understand because they know it's a better seat with more leg room.
Right.
Sometimes it's at a slightly better price. So there's a big flaw in the system, and it's something that I've wanted to take action on for a while now. And this might just be the catalyst that gets me there.
Well, if it is if it is a catalyst for change, Jamie, perhaps that terrible experience, and I can't imagine how emotionally that must have affected you, and probably still does. But if it is a catalyst for some kind of change in that way of thinking, perhaps some good will come out of a terrible situation that you and your family had to go through. It's the same thing as it's the same thing as people in a parking lot that don't require it parking for 10 minutes because they're only going to be there for 10 minutes in like a handicap parking zone or whatever. I don't like to use the word handicap, but that's what we call them. But it's the same kind of thing. People just not caring about other people.
Yeah, I hope some change can come out of it as well. And kind of timely, like you said, I was at the Abilities Expo. Also, about 4 months ago, I started the company Alternative Mobility because I was getting a little frustrated and wanted to help others and help enact change. And I think this will be a great platform to help do that through my company and just through, speaking up. And I really appreciate you having me here today to talk about it.
Those of us that don't have to have put up with the challenges that you and your community do, we tend to take for granted the fact that we've come a long way. We tend to believe or want to believe that we've come so far, and now that people in your situation are more than well accommodated out there. But these things that, like what you're talking about right now, indicate that we have still a long way to go.
We do, and I think Ontario was supposed to meet the requirements of the AODA Act by December 31st, 2024. It's been in the media quite a bit that Ontario, in fact, hasn't met those requirements. So they'll be trying to, shine a spotlight on those. And it doesn't really even take that much. If you just walk down the main street in St. Catharines on St. Paul Street, you'll still see every third business has a step or two to get in. I can't go to the Subway across the street. I can't go into Burrito Boys. Several of the businesses downtown, despite me trying to advocate a number of years ago. I work downtown. I often come into Fiddler's where you are when you're taping your show. Yeah. Luckily, they're accessible. But, change is slow still in some areas. And hopefully we can change that.
Hopefully we can. Jamie Lauzon, thank you for joining us. So sorry that you had to put up with that embarrassing and debilitating experience, and hopefully some change will come into that organization as well as the way people think about other people. I can't begin to imagine, but thank you so much for being here, and thanks for telling us your story.
Thank you so much.
Keep us posted. Yeah, keep us posted. Stay in touch with Kevin. You got his numbers, etc. Stay in touch and let us know if you do hear back from that organization, would you?
Will do. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie.
Have a great day.
Yeah, you too, man. The things that we take for granted, Kevin, as fully functional human beings, still amazes me. And
No,
I
you're
don't,
right.
I don't like to hear stories like that, but we have to hear them. I don't
we're
like
moving,
them.
We're moving in the right direction, but you can tell from Jamie's experience that we're not there yet. I mean, just him trying to go to that Raptors game, and I've seen them, Lee. I've gone to buy tickets online where the event is in theory sold out, and the only tickets available are marked accessible, but there's nothing stopping me from buying them other than my own good conscience.
Right.
But you could literally do it, and that's what he's saying. Hey, these people are just buying up. There's already a limited supply. What did he say, 40 at every
40,
arena?
he said, at a Raptors game.
But you're right. I think it comes down to the letter of the law versus the spirit of the law.
Absolutely.
And there's somebody that paid full freight to go watch an LA Kings game, a good Canadian hockey fan spending his money in California.
Yeah.
And
I mean, there should have been in that chain of communication that he was involved with, from buying the tickets at the ticket window to the customer service areas, to what there should have been somebody right to the usher that he talked about that wouldn't move because, well, I'm doing my job and this is where I'm supposed to stand. Like, there should have been one person, at least one, that said, "Come on, man, we'll look after you. We'll fix this." One. But nobody had the guts or the authorization to think for themselves and make a decision. Nobody was empowered by that organization, and that means they're working in an organization of fear because they are afraid of making a mistake and losing their job or getting into trouble. And that is the problem, people. We need to be paid to think. We have minds and brains. Let's use them. And damn the torpedoes, as they say, straight ahead. That's just unconscionable in an organization like that. Which kind of reminds me that Wayne Gretzky used to be partial owner of that club.
yeah, and Lee,
hasn't he come under fire?
I mean, we played that video for you kind of off the top, and we played a video there of him kind of in the moment, and you can tell from Jamie's demeanor that he was not flying off the handle.
No.
He was not somebody that security was having a problem with. Like,
He wasn't
we
a
got to
red-
escort this person out of this facility right now for the benefit of everybody else.
He
It's
wasn't
like,
a redneck causing a problem. He was just somebody that bought some tickets to a hockey game trying to be accommodated to watch the game. Gales Gas Bars, thank you very much for continuing to be our keynote sponsor here in the program. Jessica Friesen and her gang just continue to do great things around Niagara. We talk about doing the right things for people and doing things at the right times and supporting your fellow human, and Gales does that better than most. Locally owned and operated for 3 generations, as you see on the screen, 55 plus years, full service, 11 full service stations and self-serve as well, 4 convenience stores, and a mandate to continue to serve Niagara. And that's why it's a perfect fit for this show. Sandra's Home Healthcare, Sala D'Alessandro, what an incredible human in her own right. Compassionate in-home care and personal support worker services since 2005. 20 years they've been setting the bar for home health care here in Niagara. Strong commitment to compassionate care. They take immense pride in providing clients with dignified support services that enable them to remain in the comfort of their own homes. And man, how important is that? Verge Insurance, Mark Shirk and gang, thank you very much for also continuing to support this program since 1953. The services include whatever your insurance needs might be, auto, home, business, life, whatever that may be, located just over here on Ontario Street in downtown St. Catharines. Thank you very much. Ace Alignment, a small place with big service. Ace Alignment on North Street, just off Geneva, on that side of where we're sitting right now, behind the police station on Welland Avenue, just tucked in behind there on North Street. For anything and everything that may be ailing your automobile, regardless of its shape, size, or designation, wheel alignments, brakes, suspension, inspections front-end repairs and back-end repairs and middle repairs, whatever you might need, or service, and advice as well. From race cars to home cars. You got it at Ace Alignment. Thank you very much. The two guys there to talk about are Darren Miller, Matt Crompton. Those are the two fellows. Darren's the head mechanic. Matt is the senior mechanic. I guess they figure out what those designations actually mean. But they sure know their stuff. So thanks, Ace, for continuing to help us out here. Mac Outpost, in business for a long, long time, since 1998 here in Niagara. And that goes back to when people could almost not even spell computer. When you think about 1998, think about the kind of devices we were using then for communication and for computing, etc. Man, have we come a long way in 27 years, eh? Sheesh. Sean is the owner. Derek is the head technical guy at Mac Outpost. They're located in the Dollar Tree Plaza where Tim Hortons is there on Lake Street in the north end of St. Catharines, across from Don's Lighting. You know where I'm talking about. It's everything Apple. Totally. Consultation, sales, service, advice, anything you might ever want to know or get as far as the Apple brand is concerned in the world of technology. That's the place. Mac Outpost. I can't recommend them enough. They've done an awful lot for me over the last little while personally, as well as I know Kevin lives in the Apple world as well with WeeStream, and they're the best. They really are. They're the best. And Kevin, what's WeeStream up to these days? Before we get on to Joe Vieira, we've talked, I'm going to back up a bit. Joe Vieira is the big cheese at Regional Towing, and we've had Joe on before. We may have introduced Joe to Niagara 411's audience when he did the massively popular horse rescue a couple of years ago, or more. I lose track of time. But since then, Regional Towing has been more in the public consciousness, you might say, and the towing industry is really been in the news a lot over the last little while, and there's nobody better to talk to about that than Joe Vieira. So he's going to be on in just a few minutes. And Kevin, I asked you about WeeStream. How you guys doing? What's going on?
We're doing well. One very cool development is we are once again going to be working with the Ontario Volleyball Association. Mm-hmm. Volleyball is one of these sports that has really picked up steam post-pandemic. They're talking about membership like doubling in the province in the last 2 or 3 years, and that was for an organization that was already fairly robust.
Right.
And as a result, they want to improve the live streaming of some of their marquee matches. So we will be doing, once again, Ontario Championships, the 18U girls and boys, 17U girls and boys, and that's going to bring us to the Haber Center in Burlington, up to Rim Park in Waterloo. And boy, you want to talk about a facility that does a lot for sports tourism. You know, people start talking about bringing in outside money.
Yeah.
At that Rim Park facility, they have 4 arenas, they have 2 full gymnasiums, and then they have a turf field.
Wow.
And OVA takes over the entire thing. They've got something like 40 courts all going at once, and believe it or not, they're bursting at the seams. They need more space.
Wow.
And the city of Waterloo is looking at accommodating them, maybe build something, because the amount of economic impact that this one tournament has, or their series of Ontario Championships up in KW, is into like the multiple tens of millions of dollars. So like, yeah, okay, you need more facilities. It's almost one of these like, yeah, we can actually prove the business case for it. So we're very, and when I say back, we did a lot of work for the OVA in the late 2010s. Then the pandemic hit. Everybody kind of reevaluated their expenses and where they were going. And now, like I said, with that increased membership now, budgets are a little more. And once again, they reached out to WeeStream. So it was really nice to see that you had a company that you did work for in good faith, had great relationships, that for whatever reason, they couldn't afford to use us anymore. And then when they could, they came back and said, hey, Kevin and Brandon, we want to bring you guys back in. So it's always really nice to know that, okay, it was
Right.
nothing that we did. We still have this great professional and personal relationship. It's just that professionally, the money wasn't working for a couple of years. So we're looking forward to that.
And the other thing is the fact that it's interesting when you hire someone or work with a company or something and then take a break and then you realize the value of what you had and then you go back and say, you know what, that was a pretty good run we had there. And sometimes it takes taking a break to come back and say, you know, we want you back, guys. So that's great, Kevin. Good job.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And we look forward to some great volleyball.
Absolutely. I enjoyed doing the volleyball.
Yeah. Okay, as mentioned, Joe Vieira, Regional Towing, has been with us before. I guess most famous on Niagara 411 Live as the horse rescue guy. I guess you probably still get people talking to you about that story, right, Joe?
Hey, Lee, nice to see you again. It's actually pretty amazing. Everywhere I go, from grocery shopping, some people come up to me and say, "Hey, you're the horse guy," and then they ask me about the rescue. They ask me how the horse is doing, and even though it's been, I believe, approaching 2 years,
Yeah.
it's still quite a hot topic for me.
And you know, and I know you guys, you didn't do it for the publicity, but
No.
you couldn't have afforded the kind of publicity and advertising that you got from just doing what you guys do best. From that
Yeah.
story, it's amazing.
It was absolutely amazing. Something told me, Joe, just film a couple quick second clips.
Yeah.
I posted it on my Facebook, and then before I knew it, it literally went worldwide.
So the reason we're talking today is it's not a new topic that we have been hearing about in the news. It's actually been a story that sort of drags in under the radar for a long time, and that is towing services and policing. Something that the Greater Toronto Area deals with, basically all of Ontario and all of our regions and all of our communities has this this situation that most of us in the rank and file public don't understand. And you've been involved in this in the last little while. So tell us this, bring us up to date with what's going on here in Niagara and why we're talking today.
Okay, so as most people know, I love to be completely transparent, especially in the towing world. And a lot of people don't think of a tow truck unless, of course, God forbid, you're in an accident or you're broken down in a busy intersection. Then that's all you think about is a tow truck, and you want one there as quickly as possible and one that you can trust. Now, our Niagara police, they do an excellent job at policing our city and our Niagara region. Outstanding. But I feel that the caliber of the tow trucks, or the tow truck companies rather, that they call from their towing rotation list needs to have a really hard look and really need held to a higher standard.
Okay. This comes down to what seems to be a procedural thing, because this came up in front of council recently, this topic, correct?
Yes, it came up on council, and actually I speak March 20th in the same regards to council again on this. So it's important for me to get this out there. So I don't think that our local authorities are aware of the way our police rotation is being handled.
So how is it being handled?
So right now, the police rotation is being handled through the region of Niagara. And if I could speak quite candidly, which I always do, is let's say, for example, Lee, you wanted to open up a towing company and called it Lee's Towing. You can simply go out, buy a $5,000 tow truck, meet all the provincial requirements, get your tow license and your towing certificate. Once you have all those things, you can literally go to the Niagara Regional Police and say, "Hi, I'm Lee. I've been open for 1 day, and I'd like to be put on your list of towing service providers." Now, to me, that doesn't make any sense. It's police towing. It should be held to a much higher standard. How can any tow company tow for the police and the different kinds of incidences that they have, and only have one tow truck that they can provide service for the community and, of course, for the police.
All right, how did this system develop? I have so many questions floating in my head at the same time.
Yes.
How many providers are on the list, if you will, that you're talking about?
So I've been in towing for over 20 years and towing for the NRP for the same amount of time. And just in the Niagara and St. Catharines category, if I'm correct on the research I did, is 22 companies. So Niagara and St. Catharines are a zone, and just between those two areas is 22 companies. I believe in whole, for the whole Niagara region, there is 40 companies that tow for the Niagara Regional Police.
Okay, and when a truck is needed, how do they go about accessing that list? What do they do? What's the procedure?
So their comm center reaches out to a local dispatcher that we use, and they have a list, and they go down the list, and it'll be Lee's towing is up. Lee's towing gets called out for this accident. If there's another incident and Joe's towing is next, Joe's towing gets called out. But the problem arises in Lee, and I'm trying to bring some communication to this, and hopefully the right people see it. Say, for example, there's a two-car accident. Now, Lee's Towing, I'm using that as a fictitious company.
Yeah.
Lee's Towing gets called out, but there's two cars. Lee's Towing only has one truck. How does Lee's Towing facilitate cleaning up that accident for the police in a professional manner when they only have one truck? My mandate, and my personal opinion is a minimum standard for police towing, and that would require one wheel lift truck, or that's also known as a conventional tow truck.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind you see with the back and lifts either the front or rear of the vehicle up.
Mm-hmm.
The second requirement I believe should be had is a flatbed tow truck. Everybody knows what that is. The vehicle rides on the back.
Yep.
And the third requirement, I think, should be what's called a heavy tow truck, in order to handle incidences of when a tractor trailer is stuck in a ditch or flipped over. In my personal opinion, if you don't have the bare minimum of those three units, you should be nowhere near towing for the police at all.
Well, that tends to make some sense to me, the way you describe it. Are other regions in Ontario operating under the same system as the Niagara Regional Police currently do?
They're operating under the same system, a rotational system,
Right.
but they have those minimum standards that I spoke of.
Oh, they do?
Yes, they have those minimum standards, which some include a wheelchair accessible office, an actual landline phone number. A lot of these companies that are on the police towing rotation right now, if you can believe it or not, are just using a cell phone. And they're driving, using the cell phone, and taking their calls that way. Whereas facilities such as myself and other big players in the industry, we have dedicated dispatch teams, a landline, and we meet all of those minimum requirements. I'm not saying these companies with just one truck shouldn't tow. Fine, go ahead and tow. You're free. It's Canada. You're free to have your own business. But what I'm trying to convey to everybody, and I'm yet to speak to the police, is have minimum requirements. It's police towing for after all. And one of the things I'm trying to communicate with them is, would you rather deal with 5 professional companies or 40 not so up to par companies?
Right. Was there an incident? Was there a help clear this up for me? I think it was somebody that appeared in front of council. A lady told a story or appeared with a complaint or something in front of council. Am I imagining this, or what happened here?
I think there was a story where she was complaining about one of those one truck wonder companies, as I like to use that phrase.
Right.
And she was just complaining of the lack of professionalism that this company that was called out on behalf of the police that showed up and didn't treat her properly.
Right. All right. So this seems like a pretty logical, reasonable story or topic to be adjudicated over time. And you said you are speaking. Is it regional council that you're going to be appearing in front of on the 20th?
Yes, on the 20th, I'll be speaking in front of regional council. I'll be saying much of the same things I've told you, Lee.
Okay.
And hopefully they'll see eye to eye with me and I can get this ball rolling. The appropriate police members will see it and advocate for some change and finally make the changes that are needed.
Well, it seems like an honorable pursuit, and I hope you're successful because the way you've pled the case for minimum requirements in incidents where the Niagara Regional Police Service is involved seems to make perfect sense, because when you're being called forward for an incident, I would think that quite often you're not quite sure what you're driving into. You're not quite sure what the needs actually are until you get there. And if unfortunately that need can't be fulfilled, then we have a whole new can of worms that we're dealing with.
Correct. And if I could just elaborate a little further.
Please do.
I'm going to use this scenario. Let's say, God forbid, outside Stanley Road, where my office is, a Cessna airplane, again fictional, has an accident and it's crashed in the middle of the road. The police are going to call Lee's Towing. He's only got one truck. And Lee's Towing is going to show up. Hey, this is an airplane. What am I doing here? I can't do this. I've only got this one tiny truck.
Yeah.
Well, the police will dismiss him, send him away, and go down the list until they can find somebody that can facilitate this big job. My issue, I guess, if you will, is by letting these one-truck wonder companies on there, it's defunding the bigger companies that you would call anyways in a massive event to clean up a police incident.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I articulated that correctly.
I think you did. One thing about this list that I want to clarify. Let's say you've got 1 through 40, whatever, and there's an accident and we start at the top of the list and it's number 1, and we go down until finally we get a response. The others are busy or they can't get there or whatever, and now we're down to number 5. So it's number 5 that actually shows up. Who gets the next call? Is it 6 or does it go back to 1 and you start all over again?
No, it's all done in numerical order and it goes to the next one. So if 6 was called out and did the job, the next incident from the police goes to number 7th, 8th, and 9th, and so forth,
all
like
right.
that.
So if number 1 doesn't respond to the call, they've got to wait through 40 more calls before they get called again.
Correct.
All right.
That's how this current system works. But
Okay.
There's so many problems with it. For example, right now with the region having the carriage of the rotation, they're willing to add anybody that comes along. And one of the things I was hoping for was a minimum requirement of the trucks and a minimum requirement of being in business in the Niagara region for at least 2 years. To me, that makes perfect sense. It's, again, police towing. It needs to be held to a much higher standard.
So this is a Niagara regional government decision. They are in control of policies and process for this area of conversation, right? It's not the police.
So the province of Ontario, because of all of the violence in towing, has taken over licensing towing.
Okay.
But the police towing rotation still remains the Niagara Regional's police towing rotation. The province doesn't have carriage of it.
Okay. Good. Thank you for explaining this. Sometime we'll get you back on and we'll pursue that other topic you were talking about when we hear some of the violence that is occurring in the industry, mainly in the metropolitan Toronto area, which is just bizarre. But Joe, thank you for the work you do. Thanks for being here again. Thanks for explaining it. Good luck on the 20th, and hopefully good things will come out of it.
Lee, thanks so much. Until next time, my friend.
Okay, and there will not be a Lee's Towing, I can guarantee you.
Great, because I don't want you as a competitor.
See ya.
Bye. Bye.
All right. No, there will not be a Lee's towing. That is for sure. Unless it's towing grandkids in a wagon or something. That's a whole different story. So these situations that pop up in industries are pretty darn interesting. Coming up on the program, you've probably seen the crawl going along the bottom of your screen. Rob Cave is going to be joining us. A very long-time lead vocal with a local band, really popular Niagara band called Vinyl Flux. He's going to be joining us. He has a new assignment, and that is singer for the band, Audio Saints, that is a newly formed group here in Niagara. We're going to be finding out more about them when Rob joins us in just a few minutes. And again, want to take this time out to thank Gales Gas Bars for their long time premier sponsorship of this program. They've been with us since the inception. As I mentioned, Niagara 411 Live with Lee Sterry, Season 6, Episode 5. They were with us even before we called it a season. We had no idea that we'd be running this long. But we're happy that we have been. But Gales has been with us every step of the way, right from the beginning. And happy to have them. As far as our other sponsorships are concerned, you see them along the top of your screen. Sandra's Home Health Care, setting the standard for home health care for 20 years here in Niagara. Verge Insurance Group, for all your insurance needs, they will set you up with whatever you need, be it home, car, life, whatever. Over on Ontario Street since 1953. Ace Alignment, one of the longest standing automobile repair and consultative shops here in Niagara. Just a small place, but big work they do. Just over on North Street off Geneva, behind the police station. Ace Alignment, for any and all of your automotive needs. Doesn't matter what kind of auto you have, be it car, truck, a vintage automobile, whatever, they've got you covered. And Mac Outpost, what can I say about these guys? It's simply a two-word description. Everything Apple. With regard to that kind of technology. Apple authorized reseller and service provider located in St. Catharines and servicing Niagara since 1998. So happy to have these long-time Niagara-born and bred and focused companies as part of our lineup. And of course, WeeStreem that we talked about with Kevin earlier, co-founded with partner Brandon Scram, and you guys have got a pretty good pedigree, Kevin, into year 7, 8,
year 10.
10 now.
Yeah, launched in 2015, so I guess this year we would be celebrating 10 years. 10 years of live streaming. Who would have thunk?
Yeah.
Yeah, who would have thunk back in 2015 when it was
doing
just,
it when nobody even understood what streaming was.
Yeah, a seed of an idea saying, you know what, I think there's a market here. And pretty proud of the fact that we created a company and developed basically a whole industry that said, hey, you should be paying for people to professionally live stream your events. And 10 years on, people are doing that. So thank you to all of our clients, a lot of the municipal partners that we have right across Niagara. And if you ever need help with anything, if you want to broadcast to a larger audience, just get in touch with us. We do hybrid events. We do live events. We do the combination. We do just live streaming. We even do virtual production.
Okay.
For things that are entirely online.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, where do you want to go? I love the $100 bill story.
Yeah.
Because that's just insane. But is there something you wanted to touch on?
We got
the 40
we'll go there in a
refires.
second. I just wanted to talk about the show just for 1 second, well, maybe 15 seconds. It's the fact that we do have one sponsorship opportunity available. You see the sponsors that are on display throughout the entire portion of the program. And of course, we talk about our sponsors as we just did 2 or 3 times over the course of the program. And for the price, there's no better way to reach your audience. For example, Kevin and I did a live election coverage program on the night of the election, of course. And I think we were up somewhere about 90,000 views just for that one program.
I mean, here you could take a look. I mean, there we are right now, already over 6,000 for what we're doing right now.
Just for today so far.
And if you scroll down, you can get to our election coverage, which for some reason is not here.
I think we scrolled by it.
I'm looking for it to show up.
Yeah.
But there we go. 50,000 views. There it is right there, 86.4 thousand, right dead set in the middle, center square.
Right. That was our election show. And when you think about the number of people that voted in Niagara, just about everybody that didn't vote watch the show and were exposed to our sponsors. And each and every program we do here ends up, over the course of a couple of weeks, grabbing something over 100,000 views. So it's a pretty cost-effective way to promote your product. If you want to join us, get in touch with Kevin, and we'd love to have you on the program as part of the family. Yeah, the $100 bill thing. This is kind of an interesting story, and we always try to spend a little bit of time to warn our viewers and those that hang around Niagara 411. Hi to Nick and Nick's mom, by the way. We try to help people protect themselves from themselves, and this is one way we do it, is by exposing scams. So there's a fake $100 bills going around the area, and this was happening around the flea market when this particular post went up. They are pinkish brown in color. They look like a regular $100 bill, sort of, unless you're looking really closely and you know what to look for. So the suspect was caught. He will be charged, but you need to keep a close eye out for these bills. And it's kind of an interesting thing that's happening. It's almost like whoever is behind this, they recruit homeless people or somebody that's down on their luck or whatever, and they give them this bill and they send them in to buy something at the market or whatever. And then when they come out, they take the real money that's in exchange for the fake 100, and then they give the person that they're working with a little bit of a cut, right? So this person, you'll see Susan Wilkinson that put this post up, and she made a comment. I'll just read it verbatim because we do podcast this thing just for audio as well. So this is for the sake of our audio people, not just the viewers. As a vendor at the flea market, I can tell you this was pretty elaborate. The bills even had the braille dots. One guy, the one in charge, got a couple of homeless people with addictions, and he gave them a bundle of fake $100 bills. They were told to spend a small amount, under $20. Once the vendor gave them change for their fake money, with the real money, they handed it over to the pick. He unfortunately got away when the others were detained. It could happen anywhere. This is a good reminder to be extremely diligent in taking and inspecting larger bills. Yeah, so the poor blokes the needy people that are recruited by the masterminds get caught, and the mastermind gets away. And that's exactly what happened. So,
yeah, I mean, this was, I don't want to say diabolical, but
it's pretty clever.
I mean, the guy went in with a plan.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I'm not going in there. I'll basically buy off some homeless people.
Yeah, it's
I'll
pretty
buy
clever.
them. How much do you think he gave them? $10, $20?
Oh, probably.
You know, by flipping a fake 100 into what? Probably $85, $90 cash.
Buy something for less than $20. So the person comes out with $80 plus. Guy gives them $15 or $10 or whatever, which is like gold to some people that are down on their luck. And so they might make off with a 60% gain on their investment.
Yeah, and look here, you had Danielle Cutter. She comes in and says she was there. Her son-in-law was there.
My son-in-law and another man from the booth beside him, they chased this guy down, held him down till police arrived. He had no money or product on him. He handed off to someone else that was, sorry, the writing's a little convoluted, but handed off to someone else that was involved. Some people are picking up homeless people, offering them drugs to go around with the fake money, et cetera. So you get the point. Yeah. Anyway. And it's not too many people that are going to be paying for anything with $100 bills. I remember back in the day when counterfeiting was a little bit more prevalent, perhaps, than it is today, because not that many people even carry cash now. But when cash was king, there were a number of businesses that I know that always posted signs, we don't take any bills larger than 20s. They wouldn't take 50s, or they wouldn't take $100 bills, etc. Just because this is this is not a new scam. This is not a new thing. It's been going on for a long time. One of the other things that's going on around now on this scam thing, and this was a post that popped up as well on social media, was the driveway paving or driveway sealant scam. And this happens every year. And it's starting up now again because, of course, we're just in the short strokes of winter and heading into spring, and the people are looking to perhaps enhance their property a little bit and make their driveway better and seal some cracks. And this is one of the companies that got posted on Niagara 411 that is sort of a pseudo company. That's a logo you don't want to deal with, apparently. Those are the images that this one particular person took and posted on Niagara 411 as a company to look out for. But they're not the only ones. They'll blanket a neighborhood with the offer to do your driveway, and they might do something to it, but they don't do a proper job, and you pay them and they're gone, and then fly-by-night operations. And the unfortunate part about this is, Kevin, that there are legitimate companies that do this kind of work, and they will sort of blanket a neighborhood. They'll get a job from one person on a street, let's say, and while their men are doing the work, while their people are actually doing quality work for the job that they've been contracted to do, the manager, the supervisor, whatever, will go knock on doors and say, while we're in the area, would you like us to do yours, because we can not charge you as much, because if we do a number on the whole street, everybody gets a bit of a discount, etc. And there are legitimate companies that do that. I don't want to say for a second that there aren't legitimate companies that do this kind of business, that have this kind of business plan and do this sort of work and the knocking on of doors, etc. But the caution here is to ensure that you have a contract. You know exactly what they're going to be doing. You know exactly what you're paying for, and that the whole thing is up and above board and legitimate. So these scam artists, they have two victims. They have you, the victim that is paying them for shoddy work, and then they have the victims of legitimate companies that are tarred with the, pardon the pun, same brush of being perhaps insincere when they're actually legitimately going about their work. So it's a nasty thing. It's not a one victim crime, that's for sure.
No, now Lee, another non-one victim crime. It started on Niagara 411 with the robbery of MediSpa over in the Martindale Plaza.
Yeah.
And this guy's kind of, I'll say, unique approach to it. But then the comments revealed that this guy's a serial robber.
He's a serial
I guess so, right? That's what you would say.
Yeah.
So this was February 27th, Martindale, the MediSpa in the Huntington Square Plaza.
Right.
And here's the story that we get. And Lee, I know you can't see the top. It says, on Thursday afternoon, Feb 27th, at the MediSpa on Huntington Square Plaza in St. Catharines was robbed.
Yeah, so here's how it happened. This guy goes in wearing a baseball cap and a Canada sweater, and he claims that he's waiting for his wife to get there so she can make an appointment. He sits down on the couch, ostensibly waiting, but when the receptionist went to use the washroom, he got up and went through the entire reception area and back office. He ended up stealing about $400 out of the receptionist's own wallet, out of her own purse. Luckily, nobody was hurt. But they're looking for this guy, and it's not, again, as Kevin said, it's like a serial robber, a serial scam, because it's not the first place and the only place this guy's hit.
Sift through the comments, and all of a sudden you go, oh my gosh. All right, let's see. Here we go. Julie, what she has to say.
This looks like the same guy that went into Krabby Joe's in Beamsville last night. He managed to lock himself in their office and rummaged through the desk and a purse that was in there. These people are very, very bold, creative, but just bold.
And look at this.
Must be the same guy that entered our salon near the Penn Center. Same storyline, but he was not able to do anything. Thanks for the post to raise people and businesses' awareness. And this harkens back to a scam I think we talked about, Kevin, about a year ago, where there was a couple, a male-female couple that would go into a store, and they would pretend to be having different conversations with different people. One would be in the back of the store, one would be in the front, engaging the employees, and they'd end up just stealing tons of stuff. Here's another one from Tim. He was in our unit with his hands going through people's jackets and tried to open our till until one of our staff members asked what he was doing. To his reply, looking for napkins.
That's where I keep my napkins.
Yeah,
always where
I keep my napkins in the cash register. Oh my God. I have lots of video that the police will have shortly. If not for anything else, it'll build the case. And thank you for Tim for doing that and doing your civic duty to help your neighbors. Just you have to watch.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I want to say that there were more comments. I mean, there were so many comments on this case, but the fact that, there's 3 or 4 people saying, oh, yeah, I saw that guy. Mm-hmm. What to do is not a new thing.
Yeah.
But,
Another thing that is a bit of a head shaker. I'm bringing this up. Kevin and I talked about this before, but he didn't know I'm bringing it up now. But the law enforcement and corrections service area of our society gets an awful lot of flack. Sometimes not deserved, sometimes well-deserved. But the one that is well-deserved, and I'm giggling just because it makes absolutely no sense. There is a fellow at large, a federal offender, if you will. And his mugshot's somewhere. I don't know if Kevin's got it somewhere. It doesn't really matter at this point. But what got my attention, there's the dude right there, just a charming fellow. But he's on the lam. We're looking for this guy. There is a warrant out for his re-arrest, if you will. Now, why is this, one would wonder, considering the fact that the media release from the law enforcement agency said that he is serving a 7 to 10 year prison sentence. Well, then why is he out? Says he is currently serving a 7 to 10 year sentence. But the thing is, he's not really serving that sentence because the parole organization, the investigators, are looking for the guy because obviously he was not serving his 7 to 10 year sentence. They let him out because maybe he was a good boy or just because, and now he's gone. Oh, gee, did we actually expect him to abide by all of the rules and regulations and everything that he was supposed to do, considering he is serving a 7 to 10 year sentence? Serving and yet not serving. Sorry, but not sorry. We have issues in our world. Do we have issues? The laundromat shenanigans. Kevin, that's another one I know that you had some pictures of, and I know I'm catching you off guard here with this stuff. I'm just going down the list of
no, absolutely not, because
of stories that we've been talking about,
just to show how difficult it is to run a laundromat.
Or run any small business. So here we go. So these 3 folks decided it was a great idea to steal all 3 of the wheelie laundry carts at the laundromat. Thanks for being a-holes. So they used the carts for their own nefarious purposes, but then here we are inside the laundromat. And now you see that table where the 2 guys are standing around the table there. Well, they end up using that table for their own again, there's that phrase, nefarious purposes, meaning to lay out their drugs and needles and supplies and stuff and just kind of have a little...
Oh, yeah. Here are the drug guys. I think there's two separate incidents, Lee.
Are they
These are
separate
different
incidents?
people, but I mean, there you go.
So, see, there's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so those guys
Just
in the
having
video,
a little party there.
those guys in the video, they stole those carts. You know those carts that they have in laundromats?
Well,
You
yeah.
So they stole those, and she said, hey, those are $350 a pop. That's a lot of quarters you got to pop in that machine.
Right.
And here these guys are, laying out all their drug paraphernalia right on the table.
Yeah,
And then,
just bold as brass.
And then it gets, I would say, even worse. And sorry, some of the, but I mean, look at this guy.
Oh yeah, he's having a puff there right in the back of the shop. Let's have a little crack right there. Jesus. Oh man.
Lee, just want to send a message through to Rob. Rob, you're going to have to turn on your video if we're going to get you on the show. Okay, so I think he can hear that. Asked him a couple of times to get his video going, but haven't seen him yet. So you're going to have to turn on your video, Rob,
Okay.
if we want to get you on the show.
Yeah.
Lee, what about that? I mean, this one enthralled me. It didn't so much you, but about the fire in Fort Erie was just. I found this bizarre.
Yeah, well, let's go there. Now, this is going back to last Saturday, 7 o'clock in the morning. Cops responded to the area of Allen Trail and Whispering Woods Trail in the town of Fort Erie for a fire-related call for service. Now, on the scene, officers observed a row of townhomes under construction fully engulfed in flames. Now, I'm not saying that it didn't originally get my attention, but after we were talking about it, that it didn't pop an awful lot of questions into my mind. So the Fort Erie Fire Department, of course, began efforts to look after the fire. But then these guys were found in minutes after authorities showed up on the screen. Shortly after the smoke was seen billowing from the townhomes, 2 males were observed exiting the structures. It's like they were still in there. Officers were able to locate, this is like Keystone Cop stuff. Officers were able to locate the 2 males a short distance away, place them under arrest. And these weren't kids.
No, look at this guy, 36 years old.
Yeah, Michael Megan, 36, of Fort Erie, break and enter to commit mischief, et cetera, et cetera.
And then
we
the
got
other guy.
this other guy, Jason Batt. He's 45 years old. Okay, so this really does conjure up a what's going on here at this townhome facility. And this construction site is a development site, I should say, is new, and it was basically complete. Was it not, Kevin? I mean, they didn't have much work left to do on those townhomes.
Yeah, like the whole project was about 90% complete. These townhomes that were burnt were not complete. But as far as the whole development, we've done almost everything that we got to do here.
Right.
And somehow these ones, the last few under construction, and you'll see, and credit to 905 Drone for capturing these images down in Fort Erie. Obviously, they were out and about there Saturday morning,
right,
and responding. We see, there you go, you have a better idea there.
Yeah, so that's a pretty self-contained, good-looking development, other than that fiery, smoking pit you see in the front of your screen, and there were obviously some more to come. But obviously investigators will have a lot of questions. I'm not going to make any suggestions as to what was going on. But again, this doesn't look like young people out for a lark and just conducting random vandalism. It doesn't have that feel. But
Yeah,
the guys weren't. For whatever reason they were doing what they were doing, they weren't very good at it.
No. I mean, you do that at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
They said 7 a.m. They responded, and people saw them leaving.
And they're coming out of the place while firefighters are responding to the call. Speaking of firefighters, I want to send a shout out to the firefighters in the St. Catharines area for what they had to go through. And I know this is just one example of how many stories they could tell us. But on Carlisle Street, right here in downtown St. Catharines, just a stone's throw from where we're doing this program at Fiddler's on St. Paul Street, is an 18-story multi-use building going up. It's not yet complete. It's still a construction site. But fire, you probably read about this, but this is where I'm going with the firefighters. A fire broke out, ostensibly starting in the electrical room on the 17th floor, which I wonder why there is an electronic, not on the ground floor, but that's a developer thing. I'm not an expert. But the room where it started is on the 17th floor, on a total of right now 18-story building. It spread to the roof of the building. Got the picture? 18 stories. This is where we're fighting the fire. This is the source of the fire. About 25 firefighters end up being on site. How are we going to fight this fire? I don't know that we have ladder trucks that will go up 18 stories, but nevertheless, obviously elevators aren't working. It's still basically a construction site, and it's common knowledge that you're not really supposed to use elevators when a building is on fire anyway, but sometimes firefighters do if there is a designated elevator for that purpose, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a picture of it right there. So we've got 25 firefighters, and you know these guys and ladies, they carry tanks and packs and stuff, pounds of stuff. Not to mention the weight of their uniforms and suits by themselves, where they're pretty damn heavy. They have to go up 17 flights of stairs to get to where the fire started, and then beyond that up to the roof to actually contain the blaze that you see on your screen. 17 flights of stairs plus another flight to get to the roof to contain the thing. And I just have to say, God bless you folks for doing the job that you do. I wouldn't want to go up 17 flights of stairs on a nice cool day wearing a t-shirt and jeans, let alone on a day like that fighting the elements that you were fighting when trying to address that fire and save people's property. Like that's amazing. Can you imagine being that one of those firefighters doing that? I have nothing but the deepest respect for our firefighters and our fire departments here in Niagara. When you have something like that to deal with, that's truly amazing. Truly. Just wanted to give a tip of the bow chapeau to those people that do those jobs to protect us every day. Any word from Rob?
No, he's having some tech difficulties on his end.
Oh, well,
so
we can reschedule.
I think maybe we can catch up another day.
Yeah, we can reschedule. But just to let you know, we did say we were going to chat with him. Rob was a long-time lead singer for a group called Vinyl Flux. He is no longer with that group, but the lead singer for yet another one called Audio. I want to say Audio Slaves, because that was a band from the 80s, wasn't it? Audio Slave, 90s or 80s?
Yeah, Audio Slave. That was like a super group, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was Chris Cornell, some Pearl Jam people.
Yeah, those guys.
And some
so that's what popped out of my head. Audio
Yeah.
Saints is the new band. They're going to be playing, by the way, at Cat's Caboose on St. Patrick's Day on Glen Ridge in St. Catharines. So if you want to catch Rob's new band, check him out, and we'll have a chat with him in the next couple of weeks. Sometimes technical things being what they are, these things happen. We do have a musical guest for you to play us off the stage, though, and I guess it's that time already, Kevin. Thanks again to Gales Gas Bars, Sanders Home Healthcare, Verge Insurance Group, Ace Alignment, Mac Outpost, WeeStream, of course, and my partner in crime here on this program, Kevin Jack, and WeeStream, and Brandon Scram, his partner. Thanks very much, guys, for doing what you do for us. Also, St. Paul Street's Fiddler's Poorhouse at 149 St. Paul. Great spot. Food's awesome, which I'm going to be sampling in just a few minutes. OK Camper is this band that's going to be playing us off the stage, as we say, as we do. They are from Niagara. They have they're playing tomorrow, by the way. They've got a concert on tomorrow at Camp Cataract in downtown Niagara Falls, so you can catch them there, and you can catch them right here with their video and their song called Godspeed. Kevin, have yourself a great week and weekend. Godspeed to you and all of you folks that support this program. We thank you very much. I'm Lee Sterry. Have yourself a super Wednesday. Cheers.
Wanna call you on the phone, but you don't answer anymore. Spinning out there on your own, among the planets and the stars. Traveling light years far from home, while my whole world falls apart. Expanding out to the unknown, I'm left defining where you are and what you know. If you make contact, will you leave a message? I just wanna hear your voice. Search the rubble and assess the damage, just to make sure you're alright. Godspeed tonight. If you make contact, will you